Okay, thank you so much for calling ABC Heating and Cooling. This is Wally. How may I help you?
What's your price on a 2.5-ton unit?
Wow. Thank you so much for calling in. So, sir, do you mind if I ask you just a couple of questions about that 2.5-ton unit?
Sure.
Okay. First and foremost, where did the size, if you know, where did the proper sizing come from? In other words, how do you know it's a 2.5-ton unit?
I've got a brother-in-law. He's in the business.
Great.
I told him how big the house is, and he gave me that size.
Okay, so you really are able to rely on an expert that's a family member, it sounds like.
Yeah, and I trust him.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me ask you, so by the way, sir, do you mind if I ask your name?
Sure, it's John.
Hey, John, how you doing?
Peachy.
Peachy. It sounds like you're doing great today. Hey, well, listen, since you have an expert in the family in the heating and air conditioning industry, do you happen to have a valid load calculation that will show that 2.5-ton is the proper sizing?
Well, we went over the square feet, and he told me it's a half-ton per every 500 square feet. My house is a little bit smaller than that, 2,400 square feet.
Gotcha.
Got that. Not to mention the fact that I went out to the old unit, and I see that that's a 2.5-ton unit too. Okay. So it's got to be right?
Yeah. Well, I guess it doesn't have to be. It may very well be. How is the system currently cooling now?
Well, it's an older system, so it's getting a little weak, a little tired,
Yeah. Have you over the course of the years that you've lived in the house? And by the way, how many years have you lived there?
I've lived in the house for 9 years.
Okay.
The house is about 17 years old, and I'm pretty sure this is the original system.
Okay. Let me ask you this, John. In the course of the 9 years that you've lived there, have you done any energy or efficiency upgrades, maybe respect to insulation, windows, new windows, that type of thing?
Well, the roof was redone about 8 years ago, and I'm assuming that they did the most up-to-date, insulation when they did that.
Okay. Well, oftentimes when you make a major change like that, it can really change the demands on the cooling system in your home. The Department of Energy, which kind of regulates all this stuff for homeowners like yourself and for companies like us, they highly recommend that a proper load calculation be done. The reason for that is that they have found that well over half of all systems that are installed are improperly sized, either oversized or undersized. And the reason for that is because in many cases, people will just kind of use a rule of thumb or guesswork to size the system. The reality is your home, John, the exact same floor plan in a different part of town, or perhaps a different orientation for the sun, perhaps a different type of roof or insulation.
It's just a basic house.
Yeah, but there's so many different variables in terms of single pane, double pane, triple pane windows and that kind of thing. And so one of the things that they recommend is that a proper load calculation should be done. And so what I would recommend to you to really do the service that our company is obligated to you, I mean, if we just gave you a size over the phone with no verification, now by the way, if you had a load calculation from your brother-in-law, my guess is since he's an expert, we could rely on that. But in this situation, if we don't have that, I would really be doing you a disservice to just give you a proper size over the phone. And by the way, it costs you nothing to make sure it's properly sized, because the reality is maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 2.5, but the reality is it costs you nothing to find out for sure. When you consider how important this decision is, how important is making the right decision on this purchase for you and your family, John?
Well, I live here, so it's very important, but here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something that's going to be warm in the winter and cool in the summer, and that's pretty much my criteria.
Okay. Well, and we want to make sure that it's definitely cool in the summer, and again, that kind of gets back to the proper load calculation. So again, I just want to extend that offer to you. We charge nothing for that service. It's recommended by Consumer Reports, Department of Energy, and Angie's List, and just really want to extend that offer to come out and properly measure the house. Again, it doesn't cost you a dime.
Well, I appreciate that. How long does it take?
Well, it really depends on a couple of factors. Number one, it depends on how many questions you have, and it sounds like you're pretty certain about what you want, so there probably won't be a ton of questions. And it depends, of course, how long it's going to take to measure the house, look at the windows, look at the electrical system, look at the attic insulation, check out the new roof, the windows, all those things.
I'll tell you this. Like I said, I got a brother-in-law in the business. We talk all the time. I explain the house, and he basically told me I need a 2.5-ton, 16-SEER system with a variable speed.
Okay. Well, and he may very well be right, and I'm sure once we get out there, if nothing else, we will basically be confirming everything your brother-in-law told you. And considering, the cost of a new HVAC system, they're not exactly cheap anymore, like the olden days. It might be worth going ahead at the very minimum, allow us to give you a free second opinion, just to make sure that your brother-in-law is right on all those situations. He may be perfectly right with the 16 SEER, but you may decide you want to go even more efficient. It just kind of depends on a lot of the different factors. So again, getting back to the load calculation, about an hour or so, depending on how many questions you have. We just want to make sure and give you that second opinion. So with that in mind, the other consideration is that we would like to get all the homeowners involved in the design process. In this case, it sounds like that would be your wife.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
Yeah, and it's not going to work. Why would you say that?
Well, it's just tough with the scheduling, and to
Okay.
be honest with you, quite frankly, she doesn't really know anything about these systems anyway. So what difference does it make?
Right. Well, you know what they say, John. Happy wife, happy life. The reason that we would like to get her involved in the design process is that one of the things our company offers is basically a satisfaction guarantee. We guarantee the system is going to make her happy and going to make you happy. It's going to accommodate everything that everybody wants. And with so many options these days with respect to sizing and technology and efficiency and indoor air quality options and bells and whistles, there's a lot of different things that can go into designing a system. It's really important for you guys that we make sure that we design a system that's perfect for her and perfect for you. The last thing we want is to design a system that you love and that she hates. So with those things in mind, do you think it'd be possible to find a time we could come out on a weekend or an evening that we might be able to meet with both of you?
Well, I really don't want to blow my weekends on this, to be honest with you. Okay. And once again, I'm just going to tell you right off the bat. She doesn't know much about these kind of things. She's pretty much okay with whatever I decide, especially when it comes to mechanical issues. There's certain things that I don't give her advice on, and there's certain things that she doesn't give me advice on.
Yeah.
So it's just not feasible, and it's going to take too long to coordinate that. And by that time, quite frankly, I'm probably going to go with another company.
Yeah. Well, fair enough, John. You know your family better than I do, obviously. So why don't we just find a time that will work for you? We'll come out, we'll measure the house, do the load calculation, and give the information you need to make that important decision. You mentioned it was a 9 or a 10, so we want to make sure you have all the information you need to make an informed buying decision. Fair enough?
Yep.
Okay. Well, good. Let me get some information from you, and we'll get the appointment scheduled.
Okay.
Okay.